Welcome to another episode of Nerd News. Today we continue to talk about the latest news regarding the live-action adaptations of Tolkien's works. If you missed the previous episode where I talk about the War of the Rohirrim and the Hunt for Gollum, go catch it up and let me know if you would like a video about the Hunt of Gollum as it is in the books. Odyssey to Trappist 1 has recently been published on Amazon in ebook and paperback. This is the Italian version. I still have to get an English paperback version. So if you like science fiction, go check it out. It's a novella, a short novella, 100 pages novella, and if you want to support the channel, check it out. Links in the description. A few weeks ago, the trailer for the second season of Rings of Power was released, which is visually very cool. And I would like to point out that you don't even see those lousy Harfoots in a single frame, just to give you an idea of how important they are in this story, how much sense it made to include a whole litter of Harfoots and follows their insulting migrations. I hate Harfoots. Anyway, once again Rings of Power comes out at the same time as House of Dragons and is defeated by it. The trailer for House of Dragons is much more effective in establishing what the point of contention is, what the stakes are, and most importantly, the conflicts between the characters. In the trailer for Rings of Power, they do manage to scare you a little bit with horror sequences, more or less half through the trailer, when they talk about Sauron's manipulative abilities. But otherwise, it seems like they once again focused more on the aesthetic than the substance. If you didn't when they came out, try watching them one after the other and write in the comment which one do you think you like the best and why you think it's the most effective. It's a good storytelling exercise. It is true that House of Dragons has much more political plots, many more feuds between characters, so it may be easier to establish those conflicts from the trailer alone. But it is also true that in Rings of Power they created a large number of parallel storylines, each with its own characters in conflict with each other. The trailer, on the other hand, focuses only on the threat of Sauron and the other characters who somehow comes together to oppose him. In my opinion, one of the reasons why the trailer seems more monotonous is that it ignores all the subplots and thus thwarts them. The House of Dragon trailer kind of summarizes and foreshadows all the relationships of the various characters, while the Rings of Power trailer tells you they are not important. The only thing important is Sauron. And that's true! Sauron was supposed to be totalizing in this series, but he wasn't, and my question is why the hell did they spread out the focus? But I know the answer to that question all too well. It's a little foreshadowing of what's coming towards the end of this video. What prompted me to make this video is that a week ago, maybe 2 weeks when this video came out, it was announced that Tom Bombadil would be appearing in the second season of Rings of Power, and pictures of the set were released showing Rory Kinnear in the role of the Master of the Old Forest. And I'm having some troubles with that. A little disclaimer, I'm not one of those people waking up at night wet for Tom Bombadil. And also I'm not one of the people that will threaten you by email if you misrepresent the character. I'm kinda in the middle ground, a sane middle ground. However, I'm still having problems with this. Let's start with the fact that he lives in the Old Forest, in the Shire, while the story of Rings of Power takes place on the other side of Middle-earth. The scriptwriter decided to give him a second home on the southwestern edge of the Rhûn region. I'm gonna leave you a map somewhere. The Rhûn region is on the other side of the Middle-earth, and that should be a wake-up call if you're going to explant a character and shoot him all the way on the other side of the world. Maybe you're not doing a good thing for the story. Moreover, Tom Bombadil is the most peculiar character in The Lord of the Rings, and there is a very specific reason why he is always the first to be cut out in transpositions. He does not care about the world events, and he does not want to be involved in them. He is a parenthesis, a nice parenthesis within the books, but he can be cut out without anything that has happened affecting the story. In Tolkien's own words, he is narratively irrelevant and so shrouded in mystery that even Tolkien does not know his nature and origins. In some of his letters, Tolkien tells to the reader that there is not even to think about him. Tom Bombadil is some ways assimilable to the concept of nature. It exists, has always existed, and has no actual purpose. He is kind to the hobbits because there is no place for him in Sauron's world, and because he's a good-tempered man. It is very clear that the screenwriter realizes all these things in an article for Vanity Fair. It is very detailed and reports deeply on their creative process in introducing Tom in the series. They are faced with the problem of how to make a character who is inert by nature act. They realize that they can only use him as a helping character, because having him act in the first person would destroy his characterization, and they decided to shoot him half the world away so that he can meet the Harfoots and the Stranger, who only Jeff Bezos has not yet realized is Gandalf, who, by the way, arrives in Middle-earth 1,000 years after the beginning of the Third Age, 1,000 years after the last alliance between men and elves and the defeat of Sauron in Mordor, which is why Elrond tells him at the council, "I was there, Gandalf, I was there 3,000 years ago." Because Gandalf was not there! In Rings of Power, on the other hand, he actually arrives before even the forging of the Three Rings. And by the way, he arrives by ship at the Grey Heavens, greeted by none other than Glorfindel himself, and not plummeting like a comet finding himself without memory, greeted by a bunch of filthy Harfoots. They have the stranger meet Bombadil so Bombadil can point him in the right direction and spur him to continue his battle against Sauron, explaining that their Bombadil is 10% more interventionist than in the one in the book, proving that even if you are able to understand the facets of a character, you can also be unable to understand shit. Also, Gandalf was sent by the Valar with a specific task of opposing to Sauron. So why should Gandalf meet Bombadil to be reminded what he should do? I mean, Gandalf is a superior being, and he has to meet Tom Bombadil because he lost his memory because the Valar took him and throw him like a comet on the ground. I don't know how stupid are the Valar, Gandalf, and all the characters in this show. They managed to make eternal beings look stupid. The solution to this Bombadil conundrum is simple. They're not here to write a good story, they're here to give you what they think you want, which is why all fantasy shows turn into bad Game of Thrones copies. They invested a lot, an insane amount of money. The first season got more hate than love, and they're looking for a way to improve it. And what the fan want to see? They want to see Tom Bombadil. They've been complaining for over 20 years that Peter Jackson's cut him. Let's put Tom Bombadil in him. They will love him. They will love us. I'll bet you anything you want the thought process was this. Will the Rings of Power be able to rise again? In my opinion, no. Because they are building on the mess they made with the first season, and if roots are rotten, no decent tree can grow. As Tolkien writes in one of his poems, deep roots are not reached by the frost, but Rings of Power's roots are definitely not deep. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, this series was already doomed at the very beginning. It was released, and a week later for me it was It was just an example of bad writing that is kinda useful in itself. I had so much hope for this series. I was even willing to forgive the short-haired elves and the beardless female dwarves, but there's a limit to everything. If you want a super detailed analysis of the first season, I refer you to the video by Hello Future Me, who did a wonderful job and posted a 2.5 hours video. I'm not joking, 2.5 hours, that it's really worth watching it. If you don't know Hello Future Me, you're crazy. If you like fantasy, science fiction, and creative writing, you should totally subscribe to Tim's channel. He's a fucking dragon. He do a lot of out of your mind videos. I love his channel, so go and subscribe to Hello Future Me. I'll leave a link to his video in the description. It also comes handy to talk about Tolkien's lore, which, by the way, is beautifully written. And on that note, Tom Bombadil is a character shrouded in mystery, and over the decades 1,000 theories have been made about him. There are even people that speculate that he's Sauron himself. It's kinda crazy. But his origin in Tolkien's writings is well defined in its mysteriousness. And for months I've been thinking about making a video about him, so write in the comments if you might be interested in a video about the true origin of Tom Bombadil according to Tolkien's own words. And that's all, folks. I thank you for watching till the end. I remind you that you will find Odyssey to Trappist 1 on Amazon in ebook and paperback. If you like science fiction, please check it out. I love this novella. It's a novella, it's a 100 pages novella. It's a short read, you can read it in just one afternoon. And if you do, please leave a review on Amazon, on Goodreads, or whenever you want, and let me know what you think. I'm always curious to know what my reader thinks. If you don't like science fiction and still want to support the channel, you can do that on Patreon. You find a link in the description for Patreon, where you can get little perks like being inserted in the acknowledgement section of all the books I publish while you support me, and on the end of the videos, where my other Patreons, you can see their name here. I thank them a lot. And also let me know if you want a separated Patreon for the English language, because keeping only one Patreon page in 2 languages is kinda messy. There would be a lot of chaos to publish contents in 2 different languages, because I don't always publish the same content in different languages. I'm kinda at different stages with the channel and the books in both languages, so sometimes the content is the same, just translated, sometimes the content is not the same, and would be maybe a big mess, so let me know if I should create an English Patreon page. Write that in the comment too. And guys, I thanks you another time, and as always, I wish you a good reading and a good writing. Bye!